Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Porter, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Commission's weekly webinar series where we cover a variety of topics that may be of interest to libraries. We broadcast the show live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, but if you're unable to join us on Wednesdays, that's fine. We do record the show as we are doing today, and it will be available for you to watch later at your convenience. Both the live show and the recordings are free and open to anyone to watch. So please do share with your friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, anyone you think might be interested in any of the topics we have on NCompass Live. For those of you not from Nebraska who are joining us today, welcome. The Nebraska Library Commission is the state agency for libraries, so similar to your whatever state library. So we provide training and resources and databases and grants and consulting to all types of libraries in the state. So we will have shows on NCompass Live for all types of libraries. Public, academic, K-12, corrections, museums, historical societies. Really, our only criteria is that something to do with libraries. We have Nebraska Library Commission staff that sometimes come on and do presentations for us on services and resources we offer here through the Library Commission, but we also bring in guest speakers, and that is what we have with us today. Joining us this morning is Allie and Jeri, and they are both from our the Pioneer Library Consortium here in Nebraska, and they're going to talk about what's happening with Pioneer, new things, and how if you are interested, how you can get involved. So Allie and Jeri, I will hand over to you to fully introduce yourself and tell us all about what's happening with Pioneer.
Great, thank you, Krista. So my name is Allison Reisig. I go by Allie, so that's absolutely fine. I am the Director of Library Services at Western Nebraska Community College, as well as the President of the Executive Team for Pioneer Consortium. And I'm joined here with Jeri.
Hi, I'm Jeri. I am the Director of the Columbus Public Library in Columbus, Nebraska.
Okay. So today we just kind of wanted to talk to you about the Pioneer Consortium. So we are a cataloging sharing consortium. We use the Koha integrated library system. So a catalog sharing consortium means that we use our group purchasing power to get a better price on our subscription for our ILS, but we still have independent public catalogs and full control of our own records. But we also share those at the same time so that we can see what other people have purchased, share those bib records so that we don't have to start them all from scratch or purchase them on our own. We have 17 member libraries across the state. Many of them are very small public libraries. We have some medium public libraries and then one college library. That's me. We were founded in 2010, and then we migrated from one version of Koha to a different version hosted by Bywater Solutions in 2022. I did want to mention this is only for Nebraska libraries. Only Nebraska libraries can participate in this consortium. Mm-hmm. Some of the benefits of our consortium is support for small libraries. Again, I mentioned some of these libraries are very, very small, and so they do not have any in-house IT or other tech help. So if they run into a problem with a report or they need help learning a new skill using the ILS, they can reach out directly to the other libraries in the consortium. And then if we can't help, Bywater has a great support team too. So it's just that support for the small libraries who otherwise wouldn't be able to get it. So this is an open source web-based service. So that means that the software is freely available for anyone to use, edit, etc. So you could, in theory, just set it up on your own, host it yourself, have your own servers. But we have it hosted through Bywater, which means that we get the benefit of all the libraries all across the world, improving the software, and then Bywater takes care of the servers, updates, as well as general support for us. So we, again, can network with other libraries across the state. So sometimes when you're in a very tiny library and you're only open 6 hours, 4 days a week, something like that. You might not have the opportunity or the ability to go to conferences, things like this. So this is kind of a built-in network for libraries so that they can connect with other libraries here in the state who might face some of the same challenges and hurdles that they do. We have a very affordable price point. It is less than $1,000 annually for our smallest libraries to subscribe to this software. There's an easy integration with Overdrive and Libby. So if you participate in Nebraska Overdrive, you're able to easily integrate that so your users can very quickly and easily access those titles through the software. And then new this year, we are implementing some message B from Unique Library. The company is called Unique Library. We are implementing some text messages and then some built-in marketing modules that we are very excited about, and that should be coming soon. So just a kind of a little bit of background for Bywater Solutions. Again, they host and support the software for us. So they have what I kind of consider 2.5 products that we use. So Koha is the staff side of the system. So that's where you do all of your things like check in and out, review your reports, add new records, all of the everyday tasks that you need to do in your library to make it run smoothly. That's the staff side in Koha. The other 2 services are Aspen Discovery and Aspen Lida, the app. So this is where patrons can browse our catalogs, place holds, check out and renew items, all the things that patrons need to do to use the library is through those 2 apps. So Aspen Discovery is the web-based version of it, and then Lida is the app. It is available on both Android and Apple. And again, this is where the Overdrive integrates so that they can easily browse your electronic catalog too.
Nice.
And now I was just going to do a brief live demo.
Cool.
Make sure that that switches over to my browser. Perfect. So this is Bywater Solutions. This is their, oh, pardon me, I hit the wrong button there. Hang on, there we go. So this is Bywater Solutions. This is their webpage. And I just wanted to point out the Learn tab. So they have really fantastic tutorials and places and documentation so that you can go in and learn more and train for using all of these different products. So I always want to point that out. They have lots of training already set up, as well as the ability to do virtual training for different products too. So that is for Koha. And then also they have a lot for Aspen. So they cover all sorts of different things, the grouped work, statistics, system messages, all of those are available. And then I just kind of wanted to show you, so this is our shared catalog. So again, and I'll show you some of the library's individual catalogs so you can get an idea of what we have, but this is the shared catalog. So if your patrons were interested in a particular title, but they weren't sure, but you don't happen to have it, they could go to the shared catalog and see that. So The Housemaid, I know that recently came out as a film. And apologies, my internet is a little slow with all the different things running, so it takes a moment to load. So you can see here, we've got the entire collection. We've got books, ebooks, audiobooks, as well as a film. So it will, in fact, do something called grouped works, which I think is really, really handy for patrons. So you can see here, we've got the book, an e-audiobook, as well as a large print. All of those are bundled together so that patrons don't necessarily have to search for something and then scroll through a whole long list to find what they're looking for. They can say, oh yeah, I want to stream this audiobook, and here is the integration with Libby. They can go ahead and get themselves on the wait list, or if it was available, check it out. So I find that very, very handy.
Yeah, that is very cool. That is something that I remember not all catalogs do that, having just all the different versions, the different ways that you can get a hold of it under one record rather than each one of them being separate. I love that about Koha.
Yes. And then here they could click where is it, and then they could figure out, so click on the different versions to figure out exactly which library has one available. which is a fantastic way to go through. And then if I go back to the home page, you can see they have these different browse categories. And libraries, I'll show you as we go through some of the different integrations that we have. Libraries can set these up individually. They can set up their own branding, all of that, so that they can create these different browse categories depending on what they have going on. So we've got here crafting books where you can do knitting, crochet, or painting. So there's really, the sky is the limit with these browse categories, depending on how you want to set that up for your library. I'll go ahead and switch to mine here. So you can see here for my browse categories, I have new nonfiction, new fiction, new DVDs, as well as e-magazines. So I, as an academic library, do not, cannot subscribe to Overdrive. The Nebraska Libraries Overdrive. So I have some e-magazines that are separate that I pay for through Flipster. So I was able to integrate these into my Aspen so that students can easily go browse those different magazines and access them quickly. And then of course our new nonfiction so that they can find what they're looking for when they're researching. And you can see, again, we have all of our individual branding. We can change the colors so it matches our branding. So I went with our blue and gold for the Cougars. And then here we have Columbus. No, excuse me, this is not Columbus, South Sioux Public Library. So they have their different browse categories. So they have Siouxland Memories, as well as books that are available online. So this is that integration with Libby. So these are ones that are immediately available for patrons to go ahead. Sorry, I always say students instead of patrons. These are available for patrons to immediately check out. Books in Spanish, toys, tools, and more for their library of things. So let's go to Alma Tehesh Memorial Library. So they've got new children's fiction, new adult fiction, new DVDs, new audiobooks. So that's just kind of a brief overview of what that looks like for the patron side. I've gotten quite a few pulled up, just kind of show what different people have done for the browse categories. So you've got new adult books, and then they set it down into different subcategories, new adult fiction for Bennington. So, and then new young adult e-magazines, and these e-magazines would be the ones through Overdrive. And again, apologies for my internet is a bit slow here today.
And I see they've got the Women's History Month, so I guess that you can
Yeah.
fly like highlight some event,
Yeah.
holiday or something.
Yes,
Nice.
So you can easily change those out during the month or every month, depending on what you have displayed, or different programs that you have going on. You can highlight those here.
Cool.
And then we've got Hastings Memorial Library. They have their New York Times bestsellers called out here. So you can see what is on the New York Times bestseller list and go ahead and check those out. And then Valley. And then I do have a test account set up here that I am signed into in my catalog here. So if I go ahead and pull that out, you can see patrons can go ahead and sign in and they can see what materials they have checked out. This will be both physical materials as well as electronic. So if I happened to have an ebook checked out, an audiobook, there would be another tab here that would say electronic, and you would be able to see which items you have checked out there. You can check out and see which items you have on hold. So Bilbo here put a cookbook on hold, and that would go through on the staff side, and I'd be able to really locate that book on the shelf and then notate that it is ready for pickup once I have found it and have it ready for him to come pick that up. Any finds that they may have can be listed here. They have this Your Library card, so if they forget their library card, they happen to have the Lita app, on their phone, or they can pull this up on their phone and have that library card ready for them for the librarians to scan. They can create their own lists. They can do search history as well as so depending on your library settings, the college has chosen not to save patron browsing or reading history, checkout history. But if they choose to opt into that, they can have their reading history saved here. Libraries choose that individually. So if you wish to save your reading history for your patrons, if you have the majority of your patrons wish to have that saved, you can do that individually. That is a permission set there.
But even if the library opts in, turns it on, the individual patron still has to opt in.
I don't remember for sure. I believe that they do have to opt in, but I can't remember for sure. I believe it just kind of depends on how the library sets that up. Okay. And then I'll do a brief, because I don't want to share any patron information on here. I'll just kind of show you a brief overview of the system. So this is just my test account. You can see here that it does predictive text here. So if you typed something in, a patron's name, something like that, it would pull up your patrons there, and then you could choose from the list, as well as just typing in the last several digits of their library card and then pull up that account. So you can see here again, these are the items that he has checked out. You can go ahead and check those out easily here by scanning them in, as well as switching over to check-in and check in the items there. And then you have all of the different information that you might need over here on the left. And again, I'm just going very, very quickly through this because I don't want to accidentally show actual patron information, but you can also search the catalog. And then there are a lot of the different modules that you have here, such as cataloging. You can either import your records, or we also have Z3950, where you can upload your records or search through records and upload them from there. And again, because we are a shared catalog consortium, if somebody has already uploaded a record and added items to it, you can add your items to that as well without needing to upload an additional record. And then we have lots of really fantastic reports for your annual reports to the Library Commission. We have all of those set aside so that you can run your statistics, as well as create new reports if there are additional statistics that you would like that we do not have. Those can be set to run automatically and just email you the results, or you can run them manually as you need them. Okay. And we switch back over here. So just a brief overview of cost of membership. So the annual membership fee is based on library collection and service population. And then so 70% of the libraries in our consortium pay less than $2,000 a year. And then our larger libraries kind of carry the bulk of that weight for some of the smaller libraries, just so that we can keep it very, very affordable for everybody. There are always grant opportunities for the setup fee. So if you do decide that you would like to explore migrating, there is an opportunity for that one-time setup fee, which is $900. There are grant opportunities to cover that. The bibliographic, of course I can't say that while I'm being recorded. The migration fee is 8 cents per record. And then again, our annual membership fee, which is based on library collection and service population, ranges from $975 a year to about $6,000 a year. So if we were to simulate costs for myself here at WNCC, we have that $900 setup fee. That's a one-time setup fee. And then a one-time migration fee. If I migrated 30,000 bibliographic records, that'd be about $2,400. And then because I have multiple branches here at the college, even though I am very small and our service population is small, my membership fee is a bit higher because I have those multiple branches at about $2,500 per year.
Allie.
So, yes.
So when we priced getting Koha from Bywater directly versus the Pioneer, it was $2,000 less for us to be part of the consortium than to do it directly from the vendor.
Yes, because we have that group purchasing power as well as the shared catalog. That just means that they only have to have one single bibliographic catalog on their servers, as opposed to the individual ones for each library. So it's actually cheaper for them as well to host a consortium as opposed to 16 individual libraries.
The power of that consortium group purchase is amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing, that group purchasing power. Okay. If you are interested in joining, we do have a membership application on our website that can be found at the nepioneer.wordpress.com/membership. And then you can forward that to a member of our executive team. Our contact information will be at the end of this presentation, as well as on our website. So then you would just pay your setup and hosting fees, hopefully clean up your records and do some additional things like that, and then set up a go live date. It is a pretty simple process to go ahead and join, but
someone does have a question. Can you join at any time of the year, or is it so how is the the annual membership fee timed?
So we prorate it, and if you happen to join like in November or something like that, that is not part of our fiscal year, we would prorate your membership fee based on how long you're actually in the consortium. And then you would have the full membership fee the next fiscal year.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then Jeri is joining us because Columbus Public Library just recently migrated to Koha last year. So she is going to talk a little bit about her experience.
Hi, I'm Jeri. So we did just join in November of this year, and I am going to talk a little bit about some of our challenges that we confronted throughout the process. But I do want to say that just like a month ago, about 3 months into having migrated, I asked my staff if they thought it was a good thing that we had migrated or bad thing that we had migrated. And the cheers were so loud that I was stunned. They are thrilled that we have done this 3 months in. Now, if you'd asked them the day after, that might not have been the right answer, but 3 months in, everybody on staff is thrilled with our migration. So we started like 6 months, about a year before, looking at different ILS systems, and we ended up deciding that we wanted to go with Koha. And so we wanted to be part of a consortium, but we did price what it would be for being part of the consortium or not, and it was less expensive. You give up a minor amount of control, but we haven't found that to be inconvenient whatsoever. Allie and the consortium are really great about even the things that you don't have control over, considering what you're asking, and they've always agreed to change things for us, so that's really great. So we started in July. We had to have an interlocal agreement with the consortium signed by our city council, and that was pretty easy to sell when we told them that we were going to save, because from our original, we were using Cersei, we were saving $6,000 a year, and so it was not at all a hard sell at all to talk them into changing consortium, and they just had to sign a document, so it wasn't too difficult. And then we started the migration process. So the migration process is a little bit more complex. In July, we got all of our data from our original Cersei, and they converted it over and gave it all to Bywater. And then Bywater went through and tried to clean up a lot of information that was not transferring correctly. But then by August, we started the mapping process. Now, Bywater tells you that this is very important, and we did listen to them, but we didn't really know what we were doing. So sometimes we made a few mistakes in our mapping process. And also, some of our data from Cersei didn't translate well to Koha. For instance, in Cersei, and I don't know why this is, but like our phone numbers were 402 with a slash, and then the rest of the numbers, well, Koha doesn't recognize that. So we do have to clean up our records, and that's actually not hard either. Whenever somebody checks in materials, we just look at their count and we clean up their record. So we have to change all of those slashes to dashes, and we have 17,000 users. So it's a lot, but we're just doing it piecemeal, and we're just doing the ones that are active as opposed to some of the others that are less active. And we haven't found it very difficult to do at all. It's kind of fun actually, because all of the librarians have OCD a little bit, so cleaning up the records is kind of fun. Then we went through training in October, and that was a struggle because we were open, so trying to get all of our staff trained. We didn't train everybody on everything. And then in November, we went live. On the 17th of November, we went live. And my library board would not let us close, even though Bywater said, you should close. And we tried talking them into it, but our library board would not let us. So we went live being open without any time to get used to the system other than what we have trained on. Wow. It actually went really smoothly. Surprisingly, I was a little stressed. I forgot to eat breakfast. Big problem. But it went really smoothly. The biggest problem we had was because we were part of an old consortium. Norfolk Library went live. The consortium was kind of disbanding. So the Norfolk Library was our host library for Libby. And they went live a week before we did. They're using Koha as well. They're just not part of the consortium. Because they went live with Libby, it knocked all the rest of us off. And we weren't prepared for that because we were switching over a week later, we thought. So we had a week of having to fix all of our Libby patrons' accounts. They just had to delete their card and add it in. And so we spent a great deal of time, hundreds of phone calls, talking people through that process. And again, that didn't have anything to do with the Pioneer Consortium or Bywater. That was just us not understanding the process with Norfolk, our old consortium.
And coincidentally happening at the same time as
yeah.
So
we were expecting to have trouble when we went live, which we had none. But the week before, we had all kinds of problems. And we had taken all the people that were involved in the process of going live, had taken days off the week before in anticipation that we weren't going to be able to take any time off during the go live process. So we were all on vacation when this happened, and we're trying to work from home and get it all figured out. So that was a major challenge. But just remember, everybody's really happy now. So the go live process was just a piece of cake for us. One of the things that we did was we had a document on all the circulation desks, which was a Google Doc that everybody could update. So even though we went through training, you're like, I can't remember how to do this. People would and we tried to pair ones that were fully trained with ones that weren't, so that they weren't on their own at the desk. But still there was things that we don't know how to do. So we would just write it down. And they would put questions in this Google Doc. And then live, while we're sitting at our desks, the rest of us was researching the answers and getting them the information they needed live while they were working. And then we used that document to start a procedure manual. So it was very helpful. We pretty much had our procedure manual done for Koha in 2 weeks as a result of doing it that way. I highly recommend that. I also want to talk a little bit more about being part of the consortium. It's really great. Like going through the process, Allie was awesome. Like she was translating for us because we're talking to Bywater, who are tech people, and we're librarians. And so she could translate what they were saying for us into words that we could actually comprehend and understand what they were talking about. She participated in all of our meetings with them, which was a great time commitment on her part, but it was really lovely to have her there. We got a new cataloger in August. Our old cataloger retired, and we got a new cataloger who had very little training. So we were going through this process with a new cataloger, and we could not have done it without Allie. Our new cataloger is just asking all kinds of questions, and they just are very gracious and helpful with us, answering those questions, and not even Koha related questions, just cataloging questions in general, because she had very little training. She had like 2 weeks of training, and then she was off on her own. So they've just been super helpful about that. And then one of the great things, and Allie sort of mentioned it, is that you can see everybody else's catalog. So we use it for like our Spanish collection. South Sioux has a majority of Hispanic people, and we have 25% of our population Hispanic. So we can like look at their catalog and see what's popular on their catalog, and then buy that for our patrons, as well as getting interlibrary loan through them. But it's very helpful to be able to look at everybody else's catalog, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you were just on your own. And then I did mention that they're just really great about making changes for us. We had, there was I don't remember what it was, but there was a column in the catalog that nobody in our system used, in the consortium was using. So my trainer is really great about wanting things to be exactly right. So she asked the consortium, can we just get rid of that column? And they said, sure. So we just they got rid of the whole column altogether. So it wasn't a problem. We wouldn't have to train on, don't use this. It doesn't belong to us. It doesn't bother. It's not part of what we need to do. So they were really great about that. The texting and the marketing component is something that we came to them and that we wanted to add, and they all agreed, were readily agreeable to adding that into the system, because our old system allowed us to text, and we really wanted to have that. Some of the lessons we learned, so data mapping is very important. Please listen when you talk to somebody about migrating. That data mapping is very important. So data mapping is just when you say your old catalog calls a first name just first, and the new catalog calls it first name. So you make sure that the information in first gets transported to first name so that they correspond. And one of the things we didn't spend as much time on was getting that process exactly right. So we have had to clean up some of our records. We didn't have a guarantor, which in Koha you have guarantors, so you can link to the guarantor's account, and then if somebody has a fine, it blocks all the people in that family, which is a setting that you can set up. But we used to do that manually in our old system. And so we had a note that said who all was in that family. Well, we could have had that information put into the guarantor lines within Koha, but we didn't even realize that. So we have to do all that manually as well, just because we didn't think ahead enough, I guess, about where things should go, or where we had things previously put that we could add into Koha correctly. And that's not, Bywaters or anything. That was just our mistake. And one of the things that we did, which I think is very valuable, is we involved our whole staff in the process. So when we were looking at other systems, we gave them the facts. We showed them what things were, like we had a matrix where they could compare different ILS systems, so that we sort of all even though the leadership team made the decision, the rest of the team was involved and knew what was coming and why we were making the decisions. And then once we went live, we also had all staff meetings where they could ask questions, get clarification, so that they felt like they were part of the decision and wasn't just having it foisted upon them. I think that's very important. The other thing, if your board doesn't want to close on go live day, don't listen to them close. It's very important. The stress level was through the roof. That was not necessary. It shouldn't have been that way if we'd been able to close. So that's all the lessons I've learned.
One day for a very good reason and a good purpose shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. And hopefully, like you said, now patrons love the new version, of course, and so it's worth it. Yeah.
And we're going to launch the LIDA app during Library Week, this National Library Week coming up. So we haven't really launched that yet, but the rest of the staff is really excited because in the LIDA app, you can also check things out while you're standing in the stacks. Or you can be standing in a bookstore and look to see if you have it in our collection and put it on hold while you're standing in the bookstore instead of buying it. Things like that.
Nice.
Don't tell the publishers.
Don't tell the publishers. Authors don't care. They love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jeri. So I just kind of wanted to talk about some of our future goals for the consortium really quickly. We will be updating the Pioneer website. So as part of the Aspen Discovery software, you also have the ability to create web pages. It's called Aspen Web Builder. So we will be migrating our Pioneer website to the Aspen Web Builder coming soon. So if any libraries are losing access to the WordPress website through the Library Commission, this is an option that is already built into our subscriptions. We don't have to pay anything extra to have those web pages on Aspen. Some things that we are looking at expanding to coming in the future are additional group purchases such as Hoopla or other services like that. Really kind of streamlining interlibrary loans. Like Jeri said, we can look at other people's catalogs, find those titles that we don't have and don't necessarily need to purchase for just a single user who might want to use that. So really streamlining those loans in between libraries. And then just whatever additional training our consortium libraries are interested in, making sure that we are offering those trainings for those libraries so that they are able to utilize the system as, as little or as fully as they need. So thank you very much. Here is the contact information for the executive team. If you have any questions or anything, just feel free to reach out to any of us. We're all very, very happy to help. And if there's any questions from the audience today, we're happy to cover those as well.
Yeah, we do have a few. Yeah, and I do want to mention too. As Jeri said, they just joined last November, and you're already on the executive board as secretary. Already totally involved.
I love to be secretary. It's easy.
She is an awesome secretary too. Much better at it than I ever was. So.
So that definitely shows your commitment to the group. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Allie and Jeri. This was great information about the consortium. I'm glad we're getting this information out there. I know there's been a lot of changes and things happening, growing pains, so to speak, over the last couple of years of all these changes. And I'm glad that things are settling in a bit and going forward and looking for more, getting more members into the group, hopefully. So there's all the contact info for anyone if you want to reach out to them. But we do have some questions that did come in, yes. And I will mention that, yes, with the recording of this, the slides will be available as well. So the information was on there about the pricing and everything. You will have access to that too. Allie will send them to me after this, and we'll have the recording up tomorrow along with that. So yes, you will have access to the slides. Someone wanted to know a little bit more about how does that interlibrary loan work between the libraries? Is this something it's internal to the Aspen system, or that you just do amongst yourself? Is it OCLC, and how does that all get delivered? Is there a,
It's very informal at the moment. So sometimes people note that something is in there and they say, so they do go through OCLC if that library participates, or they might just reach out to the library directly and say, hey, can I borrow this? So it's very informal at the moment. So we would like to maybe come up with some procedures to make it as affordable and easy for everybody as we can.
So there's not a way then, there's a way for patrons to see what other libraries own, but there's not a way for patrons to request it from another library. They'd have to go to their own home library to do that request.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. We have a tip here that's Sherm, our IT person here at the Library Commission. He's on to talk about when you, Jeri, were talking about doing mass ILS updates at his libraries. He's used a Windows macro scripting language app, which I looked up, it's free, called autohotkey.com, autohotkey.com. That looks like it's a free open source scripting language for Windows to help with a lot of those repetitive things that we need to do in libraries. But he said he's used that for doing mass ILS updates in libraries he's worked in or worked with.
Awesome.
For like editing the patron records, the batch edits?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
That's great.
autohotkey.com. autohotkey.com. Anyone who
I wrote it down.
write down, yeah. So I want to know a little bit more about you. You have this new messaging app, the Message Bee. Is that something from Bywater, or that's something separate?
It's a different vendor. It's from Unique Library, but they do integrate with Bywater, with Koha, so that we will be able to send out automated text messages to patrons, such as your hold is ready, your item is coming due tomorrow. Do you want to renew? Things like that.
Nice. Okay.
And then they also have some marketing modules so that you can create email newsletters, and then as well as like different patron groups. If you have patrons who are all interested in a specific type of program, you can add them to a different newsletter that will push out notifications about specific, like if they're into a crafting and they want to know about all your crafting programs or your makerspace programs, things like that. Then you can create a list with those patrons and then send out notifications about those specific programs, just streamlining some of that marketing.
Mhm.
And it will integrate with Koha, so when you get a new patron registration, you can send out a welcoming email with a list of marketing materials for them. Or you could send something on their birthday or things like that.
Nice. Okay, that'll be fun. Cool. And someone wants to know about, you said there were grants available for the setup fee for joining. Is this grants through Pioneer, or I know we've given grants here through the Library Commission also for libraries to migrate.
Yes, so both.
Oh, okay.
We have in the past, so in the past we have helped people with the setup fee. The consortium has covered it, and then additionally the Library Commission often does the library improvement grants. We've had people, libraries use the library improvement grants to cover those setup fees.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that is a one-time of $900. So sometimes that's out of reach for libraries. It's simply not in their budget. So we try to do our best to work with those very small libraries as best as we can.
Yeah,
because we've all been there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, through the Library Commission, that's correct. We have library improvement grants. They usually open up in the fall, so you would have to time. You can join the consortium at any time, Pioneer, but our grants usually open in the fall for the next year. So for 2026, our grants are already done. If you were wanting something from us, you'd be thinking about getting the money in 2027 at the moment, because they would most likely open up in the fall. And we have given it, sometimes the migrating, there's sometimes the cost from the system you're leaving from as well. Like they want you to pay to leave or to get your records out. So any sort of those kind of migration fees, we have helped with those, and those can sometimes be in the thousands of dollars to do that.
When we migrated from our previous vendor to Bywater, they did want to charge us for our data.
Yeah.
So we did it independently. We pulled out all of our data independently, as opposed to having them send us those records, because they wanted to charge us, I think it was $8,000.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
And we simply couldn't afford it. So
no, that's insane. Yeah. Do it yourself then. Yeah. Or look for grants. Yes. Absolutely. All right. That is all the questions I saw so far. Does anybody have any other questions you want to ask? We still have some time left in the hour. Ask about the group, about how the migration went for Columbus. You can type in that question section. And you did mention, Allison, since I do want to, you briefly mentioned what's happening with the Library Commission websites. I want to make sure that I clarify make sure everyone
Yes.
understands what's happening there too.
Yes.
You did briefly mention that, and some people I know have not heard. We have since 2011 hosted websites for libraries via WordPress. And it has become unwieldy, expensive, too much for us in-house to do. So we are changing up that program. There is no longer going to be WordPress sites. We will offer a free website for libraries that we host here. That is more of a static kind of page. You can still post updates to it through us, but we also have an option to switch to a company called LibChalk. We're working with them to give libraries a very cheap, I think $250 a year is the basic price for having a WordPress hosted site through them. So all of the libraries that were on our current version we're in the process. We've been notifying them. This started last year, this change. The current ones will be available. We're available through September of this year. That's our end date. And we hope to get everyone either moved over to one of our free sites using LibChalk or off doing something on your own. That is perfectly fine too. I know, like you said, if you're in Pioneer, there's a way to do your own websites there. Some of our libraries have just decided to do their own WordPress sites and do it in their own way, and that's fine. If any libraries who weren't in our current group of Nebraska libraries on the web want a website, you can join up too. You can. It's not like it's only for the ones that were in it. This is just our way of providing websites for libraries is just changing. We will have free ones. We'll have a pay option. If we get enough libraries in the pay option, there is an option for that to work just like a consortium where it becomes cheaper per library. We're just getting started with that, so we haven't reached the minimum number yet, but it could happen in the future. You never know. So definitely look for our Nebraska Libraries on the Web info on our website if you want to know what's happening with that. If you are a current library using it, so you know what's going on, or if you don't have a website or it's going to change. I know some libraries, some public libraries, they just have a page on their city website, and it's okay, and not really as much as a library might want. Something else might be, this might be a chance for you to investigate something else. But definitely with Pioneer, check out what they have available through creating a website there. Once the Pioneer one, your consortium one gets up, do you know if any of your libraries are planning on using that as their website yet, or still to be determined?
I believe that Robin from Hastings Memorial Library in Grant is planning on migrating to the web builder.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Definitely. If you got a free option. Yeah. Now, is that WordPress based too, or is it something its own thing?
I think it's its own thing. The user interface is very, very similar to WordPress. It's just got like the same sort of GUI interface.
Yeah. Something people would recognize. Yeah.
Something people would be able to recognize and use. Yes. But it is hosted, instead of on the WordPress hosting it, the Aspen Discovery and Bywater are hosting it.
Yeah. All right. I don't see other questions coming in. So if you are interested, if you're a Nebraska library, reach out to the group and see about joining. If you're not a Nebraska library, I know we did have people who registered today were interested in what's going on here. Reach out to Bywater. Just look up Bywater Solutions. And if you want something similar to what Pioneer has for your own library or for a group a consortium you're part of, reach out to them. I think they're a great company to work with. I don't work with them. I don't work for them. We've just worked with them, knowing how the Pioneer Consortium does, and they are good reviews from anyone who's ever worked with them, as far as I've ever heard. Yeah.
Yes, we've had a great experience working with them with their support, and with like system downtime. Sometimes you have a system like you feel like it's constantly down and you're constantly having to notify the company. Downtime has been very, very minimal. I'd say maybe a few hours over the last 18 months. So nothing bad at all.
And their training staff is phenomenal. They did such a great job.
Yeah, they are hosted on Amazon Web Services, so anytime Amazon goes down, then they go down, is kind of what that happens there.
So many places are, so that's kind of,
Yeah.
I think, understandable. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. I don't see any other last minute desperate questions coming in. So I think I'll work on wrapping things up for today. So thank you so much, Allie and Jeri, for talking about this. I hope you get some more people, more libraries joining up. Thank you for being here today. Reach out to anyone there in the group through any of their emails there or through the Pioneer website, and they can get you connected. I am going to pull back presenter control to my screen, hopefully. There we go. Awesome. It worked. So thank you, Allie and Jeri. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. And I've got a few pages here I was going to show you all, since we mentioned them during the show. That auto hotkey, this is the one that was shared about the scripting that can help you out with that, autohotkey.com. If you're interested, you also mentioned the Overdrive group we have. We do have a Nebraska Overdrive group here through the Nebraska Library Commission for public libraries, as was mentioned. So if you're interested in joining that as a Nebraska library, check out our Overdrive group. And then the Nebraska libraries on the web, all of these things you can go to our website and search, like I searched the libraries on the web and got to that. I searched Overdrive and got to that. This has information about what you can, what is going to be available for us for websites. Free basic website or LibChalk hosting. There we go. I was right, $250 a year. And then a multi-site option. If there were enough libraries to join, it would be less than that 25. And there is WordPress training for libraries who are in Nebraska that they can access through that. So just want to show you a few of the things that were mentioned during today's presentation. So that wraps up for today's show. It is being recorded. And if you use whatever is your search engine of choice and type in NCompass Live, the name of our show, you'll find our main page and our archive page. These are our upcoming shows for the next couple of months. And right underneath there's a link to our show archives. Today's show will be at the top, the most recent one's at the top. It will be available ready at the very latest by the end of the day tomorrow. Everyone who attended today's show and registered for today's show will get an email from me letting you know when the recording and the slides are available here and ready to watch. We also push out onto our various social media. We have a mailing list here for Nebraska libraries. We have a Facebook page for NCompass Live. If you like to use Facebook, give us a like. We post reminders about logging into our show, meeting our presenters, and then when recordings are ready. We also use the NComp Live hashtag here to push out onto the Nebraska Library Commission social media. Library Commission has also a Facebook page, Instagram. I put it out on my LinkedIn, anywhere we can think of. So do keep an eye on us out there on social media. While we're here on the archive page, you can do a search to see if we've done a show on a particular topic you may be interested in. You can search the full show archives or just most recent 12 months if you want something just from the last year. That is because this is our full show archives. And I'm not sure you can see over here, but the scroll here is huge. It's very long. This is a very long page. Yes, and very unwieldy. That's why we have the search feature there. But this is our full show archives going back to when NCompass Live first premiered, which was in January 2009. So 2026, this is the 18th year of our show. And we have all of our show archives here. This is something that libraries do. We keep things for historical purposes. And as long as we have somewhere to host to keep all of this, we will have them up there. But so if you do watch something on here, just pay attention to the original broadcast date. Everything has a date, so you know when it actually was originally done live. Some things become old and outdated. Resources may have changed drastically. Links might be broken. People work in different places when they presented for us. But so just pay attention to that date. But as I said, we'll always keep things here for historical purposes. And if you ever want to see what we were doing way back 10, 15 years ago, check us out. All right, so that is today's show. Next, here's our upcoming shows for April and May, getting some May dates in here. Next week, I hope you join us where we're doing a programming with purpose, adult programs and community partnerships. Kelly O'Day, who's from the Yankton, South Dakota Community Library, going to be talking about the things that they've been doing at their library for their adult patrons. So please do sign up and join us for that, or for any of our other upcoming shows that we have in the next few months. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you all on a future episode of NCompass Live. Bye-bye.